5th, 2026 to order. Roll call.
Director Hunt. Here. Director Wiles.
Here.
Director Blair.
Here.
Director Rissler.
Here.
Director Carroll.
Here.
Director Burns.
Here.
Director Allen.
Here.
Thank you. With that, I would like to ask that you all please stand with me as we are led in prayer by Director Allen. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come here this evening to do what you direct us all to do, to look after the citizens of Siloam Springs and the surrounding community. We ask that you look after each one of us as families as we travel after this meeting, look after our President and Vice President and our military men and women around the globe. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask that anyone that has an electronic device, please silence that or turn that off so we don't have that interruption during the meeting. And thank you very much for that. First on the agenda is public input. I would like to ask if there is anyone in the audience that would like to address this board on an item that is not on our regular agenda. If so, please come to the podium. We need your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Larry. Attempting to get just one question answered. My previous 2 attempts have not been answered. There's an estimated $1 million in fees now being collected from the citizens using the new utility billing system. Who keeps these fees that are now added to the utility billing system? Is there a report on the fees? How long is this board just going to sit back, be quiet, and fail to tell the citizens you represent that answer? Because I know you've all heard from them. It's all over Facebook. You keep attempting to deflect from this issue by saying the city attorney has given this new vendor so many days to fix some of the problems. But it still fails to answer the one question is, I hope someday somebody in this board will give an answer to me and to the citizens. Pretty simple thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Madam Mayor, can we ask our city administrator to address that question?
Certainly we may. Christina?
Madam Mayor, BSNA keeps all of those fees, and we don't receive a report or anything related to them. They're a third-party credit card processor.
So that's a fee to our credit card vendor, is that correct?
The credit card vendor collects all of the fees and pays all of the associated costs for processing the cards.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, am I right, Christina, we're tonight going to vote to change the software? Is that correct? Or is that on a different?
No, tonight on the agenda is the request for the board to approve money in the budget so that we can move to another software company.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on an item that is not on our agenda? If there is not, is there anyone here that would like to address this board on an item that is on our consent agenda? There is not, so we will move forward.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
staff will have an item requesting to table item A off of the consent agenda. We did find that the new transcription software that we're using included parts of our workshop and changed some of the names around. Staff reviewed that, and it's a little bit more than just a quick conversation, so we would ask the board to remove item A and table that if possible.
Okay, perfect. So, first I will present the consent agenda as we have it on our agenda, and then I will ask for that motion, or for one of you to ask for that to be tabled. So, right now on our consent agenda, item A is the regular meeting minutes for April 21, 2026. Excuse me. Item B, special called meeting minutes, April 13th, 2026. Item C, nomination acceptance for Parks Advisory Board. Directors, do I have anyone that would like to have item A removed to be tabled?
That would be something I asked for,
Okay,
Madam Mayor.
thank you, David. Second. So with that, I will ask, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with items B and C still on the agenda? Item A removed.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to table the regular minutes from April 21, 2026?
Madam
yes, from Hunt as well.
The video's not on.
The video is not on?
No, I've had a few texts.
Okay. Having some technical
Yeah, the
difficulties?
audio.
All right,
So
but
we-
you're working on it.
We are getting audio, though. Audio.
Do they have audio?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I make that motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay, and we have a motion and a second to table.
I will say that, Madam Mayor, I
Yes.
asked for this to be tabled because in the director comments, there were statements that I had made stating something about not liking employee raises, which could not be further from the truth. I've never said any such thing, and it was from somewhere else, someone else said it. So I asked for that because I wanted to make sure it was removed or changed. Thank you.
Very good. So, roll call?
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next, we will move on to presentations. Main Street Siloam. Abby? Are you here? Yes, you are.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys knew, but it's chilly outside. It is. And soccer was cold. That's all I know. Hello, Madam Mayor and Board. Just wanted to give a quick first quarter report. I know we're well into the second quarter, but I'm happy to be here to report what we did in the bricks in downtown in January. We did a big end of the year buy one get one. It went over really well, and people really seemed to respond well to that. We actually have our sorry, I literally just walked in. We actually just rolled out another one for May that is geared towards graduates and families that want to commemorate their high school or college graduates. This May. It ends at the end of May. We are still continuing to work closely with Jason Davis at Public Works on public art initiatives, as well as hopefully getting some educational components and representation at our farmers market this season. We have some new things coming up that are new for this year, and a lot of those we're hoping will bring in maybe some city departments and just kind of educate the community on different things, recycling, different initiatives like that. I was able to attend our spring Main Street Arkansas training in Jonesboro in March. Those are always very helpful. We are able to collaborate with other Main Street programs and see what they're working on, get lots of brainstorming in and lots of ideas shared. we hosted Girls Night Out in March, and we were able to award and reimburse $10,000 in facade grant projects that we just now finished up. And we'll have a new cycle opening up for starting in July. So we are looking forward to continuing that. That's the Gloria McEnroe grant program that we are looking forward to continue providing. So the second quarter has kicked off, and our staff and volunteers have been working really hard to prepare for the upcoming farmers market season, which kicked off this last Saturday on May 2nd. And this season we will be doing a class or educational component on the first Saturday of each month, Kids Day on the second Saturday, live music on the third Saturday, and then a community or educational day on the fourth Saturday, which is where we're hoping to bring in some of those department and city community type days to celebrate and just share upcoming opportunities and things, and give some opportunities for nonprofits as well. I did want to take a minute to just say, to applaud the hard work of Lindsay Taylor and the Chamber for the Dogwood Festival, all of their hard work with their volunteers, their staff. It was a really great weekend, and I think we know it's been a rough journey for the past few months for all of that planning that goes into that. And I did hear from several downtown businesses that it was a great weekend. I guess we'll give her credit too for the weather. I think we should. And I'm just really proud of all the hard work that they put in for our whole community. I also wanted to give a shout out to our fire department and our police department, and then specifically about the parking permits that they provided for downtown residents and businesses. It was something that was above and beyond. It wasn't something that they have to do, but it was really appreciated, and that was really nice. And then lastly, we're prepping for Fourth Friday. So we have our Fourth Friday event coming up on May 22nd of this month, and that will be from 3 to 8 this year. We extended it back an hour, especially with that being the last day of school. We wanted to kind of give traffic a little bit more time to settle. And that's all I have. So any questions, you're welcome to email me anytime and let me know if you need anything from me.
Wouldn't be the Dogwood Festival without at least a little rain, right?
That's true. Hey, we'll take the small amount. We'll take that small portion. So, yeah.
Thank you, Abby. Appreciate that. Next, we will hear from our museum. I believe what are you, the president, the director, the do-it-all person for the
Jack of all
museum, Mary?
trades.
Here we are, the little tag team, we got the three of us women trying to keep everything going out here.
There you go.
Good evening, Mayor and board members. It's good to be here again. You have my quarterly report, and like Abby, I'll try to make it brief, but hit some of the important parts. As far as educational events and some outreach we did, we had a really good time going to my rival club, since I'm in Rotary. We went to Kiwanis, and we had a great presentation. We did a pretty good presentation for the museum there. So we're looking forward to do that more, and we presented at the Sager Creek Classic Academy. So that was quite a fun. So the next thing I want to mention is our fully staffed board, which is a requirement. And a few names on that are Alan Lamb is our president and treasurer. Carla Wasson is our vice president, legal guidance. Missy Morris, Simeon Tiefel, Mary Ellen Mathers, our events and merchandising committee. Kendra Burnett, Vince Motzinger, Hannah Barnett, our collections and storage. And the reason we have it broken down into committees now is for the next few things that are listed in the goals. For example, I've mentioned before about going through the inventory and redocumenting, making sure everything is documented in there, and the things that aren't, determining what to do with them. So this past semester, we had a young girl from JBU doing her work study, and she went through items that were just on the shelf, pieces of glass, different vases, bowls, cups, everything. So she went through and inventoried each one of those, made sure there was a number in the database, and put them all on the shelf, and I guess she went through about 145 pieces of that. So it's a tedious, but it's really fun to accomplish that on that. One of our new events this year is going to be a Heritage Day event on the June 27th. We're going to have several new exhibits up for you to look at, and we're going to honor Cecil Savage and the art that he's presented and done for our community. Also, we would like to do the fundraising activities, and a couple of things we're trying to do is build up our gift store. It's kind of hard to find really exciting museum things, you know, for kids to come and get and for families to get. So we have increased some of our books that we have, so that might be interesting. We got a couple that are called Ozark Gunfighters and Other Notorious Incidents, and Ghost Towns and Forgotten Places of Northwest Arkansas, as well as Arkansas Ozarks Legend and Lore. And that kind of takes us into some of the things we want to do with some of the historic areas in our town. One area that we've been looking at and we would really like to mark with some signs, we're dealing with the Arkansas State right now on that, and that's the Carl's Edition up on the hill, if you know where that is. And we'd like to have some signage around that edition that says this is a historic edition of our Siloam Springs. And we've got several historic places and things that we'd like to continue doing. So those are some of the highlights. Any questions?
Thank you, Mary.
Mary,
Directors?
I got to say, I'm really happy that you're honoring Cecil Savage. There are so many fantastic artists that have come through Siloam over the years, and Troy Anderson, I know you honored him one time, and so many, but great job,
Yeah.
job. Thank you.
So with that, we will move to our staff reports, administrators report for record from April 21, 2026. Christina.
Yes, that report is from the last meeting, the regular board meeting, and is for the record only. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And all the directors did receive a copy of that, I'm assuming? Yes?
This is from last.
Okay. So with that, we will move into our contracts and approvals. Before we move into that, I would like to just remind all of the directors that we do have a different sound system. Our mics are a little different than what we normally would have, so please speak into that mic, speak clearly, so that everyone will be able to hear your conversations and your comments. So with that, we'll move into contracts and approvals. Contract approval MOU with Benton County Road Department, Oak Crest Road. Josh?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board. Josh Napier, Public Works Director. Tonight before you is a memo of understanding with the Benton County Road Department to, can I say finally, address Oak Crest Road from North Hyco Street to North Don Hill Road, with an emphasis put on the section between Oak Crest Street and North Hyco. That's by far the most damaged section of that street. The city did budget $75,000 for this in the 2026 capital plan. Our portion of this project will be $60,199.23. Primarily, that's to cover material. The city's going to buy the material, and then the county will do all the construction, all the paving. We will help with some precision milling along some curb and gutter areas, but for the most part, we're just buying material and being on site to, you know, lend a hand where we can and doing the milling. But yeah, with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thanks, Josh. Directors?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David?
Josh, all I can say is thank you. I've been griping about this street for umpteen years because of the citizens griping about it, and I drive it weekly. So it's been like an obstacle course, and you know where to turn left to get out of the way. But I will say that it's only thanks to you getting into this position, Public Works Director, that there is now a lot of listening being done, and we appreciate it a great deal. So anybody living out there, know it wasn't going to be ignored. It was a matter. And Airport Road is later this year. That's also the other one that we've been talking about for years. So those are the two key ones that we appreciate you putting as priority. Thank you, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Directors, anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Reed?
Josh, thank you for the collaboration that has taken place between the city and the county. That's easy to say, but it doesn't seem to work quite that easy when we start talking, but thank you for working with that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this contract with the MOU, Benton County Road Department? Yes, sir. State your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, Mark Miller, 22587 Westwood Drive, Siloam Springs. I can't be happier that this is getting paved. We've lived out there for 30 years now, and it's pretty well, you could drive a chuck wagon over it. I do have a couple of questions, though. Back last year, in fact, Director Allen brought up, why isn't this road being built to city standards? This road is only 18 feet wide. It's listed on your master street plan as a collector road. A collector road has got a minimum width of paved width of 33 feet. Even if it was listed as a local road, it'd be paved at 28 feet. I just think that, I know it would have cost a little more, but we're right on the edge of town. Sooner or later, you're going to annex us in. Another 5 years, you're going to be looking at this road because of the growth out there with the additional housing developments to make it wider and make it safer. It's always been a problem. It's got big ditches. I'm afraid it's going to end up like some of the roads in the center of Siloam Springs here that, are still narrow roads, no sidewalks and ditches in the middle of town. Anyway, I just wanted to give you my 2 cents. Thank you for your
Mark.
time.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Can Josh address that on, is there any way to make it wider, Josh?
I mean, the county has no interest in doing that right now.
Yeah.
This is
We're
probably the best
pretty
answer I
limited
could
based
give.
on the counties.
Yeah, it's a shared street, so it's a partnership. Then they're willing to pave it if we'll buy material, and I think right
I don't think a
now-
lot of people understand that the split is like literally right down the middle of the street,
Yeah,
right?
we own complete sections in some areas, but very limited.
But,
Most of it's split.
the majority of it, the north side of the road is the county and the south side is
Yeah.
the city, yeah. Well, then that answers that. Thank you.
Kami Heavener, 810 Oak Crest Road. And I just want to say thank you so much because this is right in front of my driveway and it's probably the worst road in town. So I don't care if you widen it because that'll take away from my yard, but I appreciate that it's getting done. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Anyone else? If not, directors, I will come back and ask if I have a motion to approve this contract for the MOU with Benton County Road Department, Oak Crest Road.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is our budget amendment, Fire Department, second set of PPE for members, $250,000, capital STFE reallocation. Chief Kendall.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board. Pretty excited about this one. We had originally planned to do a 2-story training prop on our fire training grounds when we went to you for the budget approval for this year. We have since decided that the better move is going to be to purchase a second set of turnout gear for all of our firefighters. What this does is it allows us to, whenever the primary set is dirty or soiled from carcinogens, which we run into on a lot of our calls, we're able to take those back and appropriately clean that gear while putting these firefighters in a second set of clean gear. The goal here is to keep the carcinogens off of the skin of our firefighters as much as we possibly can. Having a second set of gear or a backup set of gear is crucial to our mission to stay focused on, the health and wellness of our firefighters. So we are asking for the budget amendment to spend those funds that we were going to spend on a 2-story training prop for a second set of turnout gear.
Thank you, sir. Directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
David?
Thank you, Chief. I had a conversation yesterday with your Deputy Chief Jackson and learned a lot about the need for this in that the cancer-causing hazardous materials that can be left on your turnout gear and be breathed in, and what you have that everybody, I guess, and I didn't know it, but he explained that everybody in the firefighting business across the nation knows how some of these can cause cancer. And so I appreciate you thinking of the health of your people over a storage, basically a storage building. So this is better. So
Sure.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this budget amendment for the fire department? There is not. Directors, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment for the fire department, $250,000?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes. Motion is approved. With that, we will move to our budget amendment, again for the fire department, purchase gas monitors for hazardous materials responses, $19,000. Chief Kendall?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, members of the board, appreciate it. It's gonna be honest with you, coming to you with two in a row. It doesn't look very good, but with that, our gas monitors actually, we've had in place for many, many years. The gas monitors that we currently have on our first line apparatus are about 10 plus years old. And those are getting increasingly harder to maintenance and, for lack of better words, Band-Aid together. So we're looking to replace all of those gas monitors with newer equipment. With that being said, that plays into the carcinogens and the gases that we deal with in hazardous materials response, as well as structure fires, as well as our standard carbon monoxide responses. So these are the monitors we use on nearly all of our fire runs to determine if the air that we're breathing is safe and the air that we're returning the occupants into their homes or in the area with is safe to breathe without specialized breathing apparatus. So we are asking for a budget amendment to purchase these gas monitors to replace the outdated and broken monitors that we have today.
Thank you, sir. Directors, comments or questions? There being none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this budget amendment for the fire department? There is not. Directors, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment for the fire department, purchase gas monitors, $19,000?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion is approved. With that, we will move to the next item, which is appeal, permit denial, Planning Commission, PP 26-01, preliminary plat for Cloudview Estates. And we will have the presentation of the information for the board from our Director of Community Services, Chris Paxton, and our planner, Ben Rhodes. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware, and I know we've had some questions, there will not be public comment on this appeal. The reason being is that, for one, legal counsel has advised that public input is not appropriate for this appeal, as this item constitutes a review of the Planning Commission's decision rather than a new hearing of evidence, which means that the board is not to hear any new evidence, any information to base their decision on. They are simply making a decision on the appeal, whether the Planning Commission did what they should do whenever they made this vote. And they will hear information about that. Also, we were asked about public comment because it is in our board's policies and procedures that they have adopted. But that public input is for old business, new business, and special called public hearings, which this is not any of those three things. So we will not have public input. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that and knows that before we move forward. So with that, Chris, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. And just for clarification, the presentation that you're going to receive from the city planner is the same presentation that was provided to the Planning Commission. We also wanted to ensure that the public comment that was brought forward during the Planning Commission meeting was was provided to the board. So in front of you, you have a packet that is labeled Cloudview Estates Meeting Recap by Staff 4/14/2026, which is essentially a draft of minutes that states exactly what happened throughout the meeting. If an individual spoke at the meeting, their information was provided to the board in the packet that's in front of you. On that note, I will hand it over to Ben. He will present exactly the information that was provided to the Planning Commission to make their determination.
Thank you, sir. Ben?
Yes, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the board. I'm Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. And as Mr. Paxton indicated, this will be the same presentation the Planning Commission received. Before you is a preliminary plat development permit occurring at the 14,000 to 15,000 block of Airport Road. This property, as you see on the map on the left, there is zoned R2 single family medium. The applicant is desiring to establish a preliminary plat called the Cloudview Estates Addition, and this will be in 5 phases with 319 residential single family lots occurring in just a little bit more than 100 acres. This will also include several detention ponds and 3 parks. This is also the first subdivision reviewed under the revised code, chapter 35. Here is a brief summary of staff's finding that staff has gone through for the review of this property. It was annexed into the city on December 2nd, 2025, and was zoned R2 at that time, and that was the default zoning that went in with the annexation. The R2 zone is what's appropriate for single-family residential. The 2040 comprehensive plan also shows this area as neighborhoods 1, which is appropriate for single-family development. City engineering reviewed the plans and has found that the drainage study is adequate to accommodate the anticipated stormwater runoff. As you can see showing there on the map, there are 3 different drainage ponds that are shown in the blue shading on the map. All the lot sizes are 70 feet wide, and this increases the minimum lot width by 10 feet compared to what was previously approved in historic subdivisions. That's because of the new code that updated the required minimum lot to 70-foot wide lots. And of course, that does comply with the R2 zoning standards. Again, as required with the code update, there are 3 recreational parks included, meeting the code requirements, and streets will be included with street trees internal into the subdivision, and also along Bill Young Road and Airport Road. Traffic will be split between Bill Young Road and Airport Road, and the applicant did provide a traffic study. Abutting roads will be improved by half-street improvements. That's from the center line to the curb edge of the existing road. Utility demands were reviewed, and current utility infrastructure can accommodate the proposed new sewer line proposed for the extension north from Tahlequah Street up to Highway 59, and this will connect to the proposal by easements at the southwest corner. And this is a different slide than what we had. Let me go back. So here is an overview of the subdivision. It was blown up a little bit more so we can, and we've also switched directions on you. So north is to the right and Airport Road is to the bottom. The different colors represent the different phases of the subdivision to be built in 5 different phases over time. being filled in with different final plat permits that will go before each of the phases. It should take a number of years, probably about 3 to 5 years to finish the subdivision. So it's important that we lay out a section of the staff report on the city codes that relates to the reasons for denial for the subdivision by the Planning Commission. Per the code, the commission can only deny the preliminary plat application if one of the following reasons are found to apply. So I will read these one by one so everyone is aware of the different criteria for denial. So number one is that the project does not comply with local regulations for subdivision development. That's the state law, federal law, or local laws. Number two is not located within a zoning district, which would be permitted use by right for the proposal as submitted, except for instances where prior issuance of a special use permit as allowable within the zoning regulations has been approved by the board of directors, in which the proposal meets the applicable subdivision regulation requirements and conditions of approval for the special use permit. Number three includes tandem lots which without adequate access to meet fire or frontage requirements, or lots that are not reasonably constructible other than clearly defined, labeled, and acceptable on unbuildable lots for utility drainage or requisite common green spaces or other similar purposes. Four, has not adequately demonstrated a drainage report that the minimum requirements and the drainage required for drainage criteria manual have not been met. Number five does not include the required detention right-of-ways or easements. Six is found by the city engineer to create or compound a dangerous traffic condition. Seven, city utilities or other requisite infrastructure are not readily available on the property, and the applicant has not offered or has offered no provisions to extend utilities to services the full scope of the preliminary plat development. All right. And eight, the applicant fails to comply with ordinance requirements, fee in lieu requirements, conditions of approval for on-site or off-site improvements or impact fees. And finally, for number nine, is shown to be incompatible with the context of its location and the characteristics surrounding of the existing planned neighborhoods as characterized in the most recently adopted comprehensive plan, and that would be the 2040 comprehensive plan. For staff's findings, we reviewed the criteria as shown, and we found no evidence the code requirements are not being met or cannot be perfected through the staff's shown conditions. There are three conditions that are suggested. The first is that the construction of the addition shall comply with all FAA regulations, and that's the Federal Aviation Administration. And the second is that the applicant shall provide for park amenities prior to the final plat issuance. And the third condition was added by the city engineer and was accepted by the Planning Commission at their meeting. And I will pass my comments over to Mr. Brent Armeal, the city engineer, so he can read that condition into the record. Thank you.
Brent?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, directors. I'm going to try and read this verbatim from the Planning Commission meeting. The condition reads, the city engineer shall coordinate with the applicant on improvements to Airport Road and Bill Young Road along the development's respective roadway frontages. Improvements shall meet the City of Siloam Springs design standards and may include construction or a fee in lieu thereof. The city may participate in a cost share arrangement with a developer to expand improvements to an agreed upon roadway width, subject to the Board of Directors' approval of the city's funding contribution.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And with that, I would like to pass the presentation back over to the Director of Administrative Services for additional comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. And, one of the things that we discussed earlier was what are we actually considering here. And I'll just read the message that comes from the city attorney. So what is considered during an appeal of a denied preliminary plat development permit? When appeal is taken from the planning commission, the board is not redoing the plat, and it's not a redo of the entire considerations. It's a review to determine if the planning commission acted within its authority. So the question for the board is that is on the agenda tonight is, was the planning commission's decision faulty or made in dereliction of the approval criteria? And on that note, I can answer any additional questions, and if you have any additional questions for the city attorney, she's available as well.
Thank you, sir. Directors? Comments or questions at this time? I'm sorry, sir. There is no public input.
Just a moment.
No.
Madam Mayor?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
Thank you. So I requested an appeal on 4/15/26 at 2:53 a.m. in the morning. The day before, I did attend the planning commission and sat silently in the back and listened. And so I have some questions before I make comments. Is that what you're allowing us, Chris, to ask you questions?
The board, Madam Mayor, the board can ask questions to staff at any time.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
you can, as long as it is within the scope of what has been presented by the planning, or to the planning commission, the things that you have heard.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, perfect. Go right ahead.
Now, we may disagree what I heard, but that's okay. My first statement is, I'm not a fan of being threatened. So I took that, my email came across to Christina firmly, and she responded properly. Thank you for calming me down, but it's just in my nature. So my first one is extremely simple. Contributing factors of 2025, and where I think we failed as a city, and I think we're legitimate in our failures in the comprehensive plan of 2040. I was on the board when we adopted it my last year in 22, and we've had significant changes with no revisions. And so I'll start with the obvious. City admin resigning, not having a city engineer for a significant amount of time. We lost a key player in our planning division. And then additional to that, on May 22nd of 2025, we amended city code, repealing of the city planning area boundary. On Act 314, we lost that. And we did not make that adjustment to our 2040 plan. And those are the contributing factors that led to what I observed at the Planning Commission. And so I propose the motion to uphold the denial based on those facts. I believe the Planning Commission did the correct thing. It is not compatible, and it brings significant safety, and it's not not concerns, they're issues. And that is a different wording than a concern.
Madam Mayor, I thought that we were supposed to hear the reasons from both board members as to their request to appeal.
Yes, sir, and Brad, you were the first one that we
I
heard.
was
Is
the
that correct?
first one. In fact, I can continue on with my appeal.
That's fine if that's your reason for the appeal. That's kind of what we're looking for. Is this what you're stating? This is your reason that you ask it to be repealed and brought to the board? Is that correct?
Well, I can, what page do you want me to stop at? So,
Just-
yeah, I'll stop right there.
Okay. And Director Blair?
I brought it forward because no one gave a reason based on our criteria, which requires factual evidence. However, since that time, we have received more information, so I recommend that it is remanded back to the Planning Commission.
Thank you, ma'am. So with that, then do you have other comments that you want to make, Brad?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead and do that now.
I received a call from their attorney, and we had an interesting conversation. And I've taken this position at large, and it requires you to listen. And within listening, there has to be some sort of reason. And so my proposal is, I think we have 3 of them on the table. One is a land swap, one is eminent domain, and the other one is what Director Blair recommended. And if you would like me to go further with a land swap, I think it requires a conversation, and I think it solves a lot of public issues and future growth and development of this community. And I think it offers a great benefit to the developer and a significant cost savings. Having said that, I'm 1 vote, and I don't know if that's a complete different conversation at a different time, because I'm not sure if this format allows for that.
So actually,
Probably not at this time. I think it's a valid discussion to have, because if the denial is ultimately upheld, there will be consequences to that, right? And so determining how to handle those consequences, that's a discussion to have at that point. Yes, I hear, but I understand what you're saying.
I want to be on the record, and I said it's at the last, when I was a no on annexation, is that, I believe in development. I believe, and you guys that developer provides a good product. I just disagreed with the other board members. Having said that, I am a believer in leadership ownership. And so when the board makes that decision, I'm on the board, and, and then we go to problem solving. And that's where I'm at the table right now, is problem solving. Having said that, I've failed at a lot of votes over the years, but we've had some significant wins, and I think in this particular situation, it's definitely worth consideration on both sides to consider. And so, but that would be upholding the denial, and then at a later date moving forward with that discussion, if there's any interest from the other party, from the fellow board members.
So let me just remind the board. Okay, these are the 3 things that you can vote on tonight. You have to make a choice, one of these 3. Either that you're going to remand, your motion is going to be remanded back to the Planning Commission for new information to be presented, and for them to reconsider the application. The other 2, one is a motion to reverse and approve the application. The other is to uphold the denial. Those are the 3 things that you all need to decide at this point in time how you want to move forward with this appeal, because that's what you're asked to do. You're asked to look at this, see if you agree with what the Planning Commission decided, and then those are your 3 choices that you need to make.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
I would like to make a motion that we remand this to the Planning Commission. I think that they deserve the right to reanalyze this with new information. And I think there has definitely been new information, and that is the way to go. And if after they review it again and take a vote, if there is a second appeal, then that will be the final say. So actually, my motion would be that we remand this to the Planning Commission for a final review. And that's it.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
before we make a motion, could the other directors have comments?
Sure, I won't ask for a second at this time because we do want them to have,
But we usually have comments after the motion is made.
if we have a second. Do I have a second at this time?
I was going to second it, but I mean, I'm
Okay.
fine with comment, so, I
Yeah.
mean, however,
I've got comments too, so
Yeah.
you stated what our three options were.
That's
so
our three
why
options.
Yeah.
And I would ask if you all can agree to that we have our conversation so that each of you has input before we actually make a motion for how we want to proceed. If that is good with what I'm hearing from the board?
I'm
Okay.
good with that.
So I would like for each of you to have an opportunity to speak to this appeal. I think that
But-
you need to.
But our motion does not prevent comment. Our motion
No,
gets a
but
motion on the floor and then
It
comment
does. It
towards the
does.
motion is.
And if we have a motion and a second, after discussion, that is the motion we have to vote on. So, I mean,
Correct.
if there is a second, I will accept the second, and we will still have input from the directors, because that is what we need. We need that on record from each director.
Well, I made the motion and Betsy seconded, so.
So Betsy, you are seconding that? Okay. So have we got that? And this is to remand back to the Planning and Zoning, or Planning Commission, okay.
For a final review.
Yeah, there's actually some wording that should go with that, and do you have that, Chris?
Yes, Madam
So
Mayor.
that we can make
and
sure we've got it in the motion?
Just requesting, staff requests a friendly amendment to the motion to remand. The city attorney has prepared some language that was
Right.
provided to a couple of the directors to assist with making this motion. If you would like, Madam Mayor, I can read that.
Yes, that would be fine.
Madam Mayor, the recommended motion by staff would be that I move to remand the appeal of the Cloudview Estates preliminary plat application to the Planning Commission pursuant to Siloam Springs Ordinance, subsection 35-57A3, on the basis that fairness requires further presentation of facts relevant to the application denial criteria. The remand is limited in scope to issues related to denial criteria 9, specifically 1, identification of relevant provisions of the comprehensive plan describing the character of area, and 2, determination of whether the proposed development is inconsistent with those provisions. Also, to avoid an appeal loop, on remand, the staff requests that the Planning Commission be directed to receive additional evidence and testimony relevant to the identified issues, limit its consideration to facts bearing on the applicable denial criteria, including subsection 35-57(9), make specific findings tied to the comprehensive plan and supported by evidence in the record, and avoid reliance on generalized opinion or preferences not grounded in the plan or ordinance. And for any questions on that proposed motion, I would deflect those to the city attorney.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if this were remanded back to the Planning Commission and the Planning Commission approved it, would there be an appeal at that point? Could there be an appeal at that point, and by whom?
So, Madam Mayor,
Or is that the final decision?
Madam Mayor, there is an appeal loop that we're trying to prevent, which is each time the Planning Commission hears and approves an item or denies an item, then it can be brought back to the board. If the board hears new information, it goes back to the Planning Commission. So to avoid that appeal loop, we try to be more specific on what we're remanding it for. And yes, the answer is if they approve it, then it can be appealed by the applicant. I don't know why they would appeal an approval.
Right.
But 2 or more board members, I believe, can appeal an approval back to the board, even if after it's been approved. But unlike other things, that third parties don't have the appeal option for preliminary plats.
Right. So let me ask you this, Chris, and then the language that you just read that should be added to this motion for the record. And we said that in order to not have this loop back around every time, is that language then appropriate to, if it does come back, if it, let's say it's approved, the directors ask for it to come back to them to look at again, in appeal? Is that language stating that if that happens, this is the final, their next decision is the final decision?
Do you want me to take that?
I think probably yes.
I think no. I think adding this language will allow remand back to the planning commission. The planning commission can make a different determination if they want to. They can make the same determination. I think there would still be an appeal back to you guys after that, one more. And then at that point, you would make the final determination regarding the preliminary plat. This language is intended to limit to one more administrative appeal before local rule 9 would be satisfied, and then it could be, if needed, could be appealed to circuit court.
Okay.
I thought that's what my motion said, for a final review.
I think that's what you were trying to say, yes.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just for, we have a long line of continuity of public notice for this item, so I want to make sure we try to keep that. So this item would be remanded back to the meeting next Tuesday night of the Planning Commission. Ben has that date. I don't have it off the top of my head. I believe it's May the 12th.
May 12th.
And
May
that
12th.
would be at 5:30 p.m. in this room, if the board does remand that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor,
So I'm going to go, yeah, I'm sorry.
You
What?
can go ahead, go ahead.
I just, Chris, in all fairness, would you read the proposed motion to uphold denial?
The proposed motion to uphold the denial,
Just
Madam
in
Mayor,
fairness, you're
would you like me to read that as well?
Sure, yeah,
So-
go ahead. And while you're doing that, because we have a third one.
I can go ahead and read the
Yeah,
whole page.
Proposed motion to reverse and
Yes,
approve.
I ran out of water
So-
10 minutes ago, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So proposed motion to reverse and approve would be a second option. And staff would recommend if the board wanted to propose the motion to reverse and approve the item, that the motion read, quote, "I move to overturn the Planning Commission's denial of the Cloudview Estates preliminary plat and approve the application on the basis that the denial is not supported by the application ordinance criteria or the record." For additional clarity, could add, there are no facts or substantial evidence in the record demonstrating that the proposed development is incompatible with the context of its location or the character of surrounding existing or planned neighborhoods as characterized in the city's adopted 2040 comprehensive plan as required under subsection 35-46A1C9. Accordingly, the denial is not supported by the ordinance and the application should be approved. As a third option, the proposed motion to uphold the denial, staff would recommend, I quote, "I move to uphold the Planning Commission's denial of the Cloudview Estates preliminary plat on the basis that the record contains sufficient evidence to support a finding under subsection 3546A1C9 that the proposed development is incompatible with the context of its location and the character of surrounding, existing, or planned neighborhoods as characterized in the city's adopted 2040 comprehensive plan." As an additional item for clarity, Madam Mayor, the board could also add that the board finds that the record demonstrates that the proposed development is inconsistent with relevant provisions of the comprehensive plan, and that its inconsistency supports denial under the ordinance.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else that you need to add to that, or is that?
No.
We're good? Okay. Yes,
Okay.
Lisa.
Since I'm sure you want to hear from each director, I'm going to go ahead and, I wrote mine out ahead of time, and so I'm just going to read it off. I appreciate the work of staff in the Planning Commission, but in this appeal, I think it's important to recognize that the Planning Commission's responsibility was not to merely follow staff's recommendation. Their responsibility, just as ours is now, was to consider the full record, weigh the facts before them, and make their own determination based on the governing standards. I believe that is what they did. I also recognize that reasonable people can review the same facts and reach different conclusions. But based on the record before us, I believe there was substantial evidence to support denial. I do not read Factor 9 as narrowly as it has been presented. During the Planning Commission meeting, a commissioner specifically asked whether zoning alone settled the compatibility standard under subsection 9, and legal counsel answered that it did not. Counsel acknowledged that other things could be considered, and that matters. The record reflects airport-related concerns, including impacts on the airport's long-term future, critical airport design surfaces, and northward expansion. The record also reflects safety and compatibility concerns raised during the Planning Commission meeting, including detention ponds near the airport and the placement of residential development in an airport-affected area. In addition, the record reflects the existing agriculture and rural context of the area, including nearby chicken houses and other long-standing agriculture operations. For those reasons, I believe the Planning Commission acted within its role, exercised its own judgment, and reached a decision that is supported by the record. I therefore support upholding the denial.
Thank you, Lisa. Reed, I will come to you. You had asked for the floor.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Please, into the mic, sir.
I'm wanting to bring forth a little bit of history of where we've come with this property and with the airport. And I do believe the airport is part of why there was an appeal. So I believe it is relevant. But in 2007, the city saw fit to disband the Airport Advisory Board because they thought that we were where we needed to be. And we didn't hear anything about, or I didn't hear anything about, we need to lengthen the airport, we need to make it bigger. 2019, this property that we're speaking about was put up for sale. And it was almost 2 years before it sold. I think it was, 627 days on the market before it sold. What that tells me is there was opportunity. We as a city could have purchased the property. Someone else could have purchased the property. But someone that did purchase it happened to be a developer. They actually put it on the market again in 2022, and they withdrew it after 307 days on the market. They put it on the market again in 2024. It was on the market for 283 days before they withdrew. We as a city have a job ahead of us. And how we do that job is going to determine a lot about who we are and where we're going. We're a growing city. And when we grow, what does that mean? We step into the county. And when city and county come together, it's like a warm and a cold front. You can have a gentle rain, or you can have a hailstorm. I would love to see the collaboration of the city, the county, the state, the FAA, to be able to come together and work together. And let's do it right and as grown-up adults. The airport currently has room for growth. I think we're sitting on less than a third of what it can be as far as having hangars, extended, not extended runway, but having, what's the other one? Taxiway. You could put some things there, so there's room for growth. But one thing we haven't seen or heard is a request. We put together a 2040 comprehensive plan. In that plan, the city held many meetings over many months, speaking with many people, trying to receive some input on what we should do and where we need to go as a city. And in, I think it was July of 22, we presented that. And that map is in our City of Siloam Springs website. You can go to it. It shows this property to be residential. The future, it's called the future land use map. What I'm seeing is we're seeing a reaction versus proaction. I don't believe that's our best move. When the cow's already out of the corral and you shut the gate, that doesn't fix it. We have an opportunity to see a development here. And all that they've done is right. They followed the rules. They did what they were supposed to do to be able to have the city approve this. Concerning annexation, it's not only looking at annexation, but it's looking at bringing in the utilities that go along with that, which will actually save some money for the city. And now I don't quite understand it, because we're being asked to not approve a plan that has followed the rules and the regulations and done it with excellence. We should be saying welcome. But instead, we're saying we don't want you here. I don't quite understand that. Is that who we are? Penalizing those who go by the rules and regulations? I personally would like to see this remanded back to the planning zoning. But I'm hesitant with that because there's a few who are trying to take this and turn it into anger, into hate and fear and politics. People, that's not who we are. This is about the U.S. of A., where owning land is a right. It's an opportunity we have. It's a legal part of who we are. And every one of us in here has a relative somewhere down the road that died for that opportunity so that we could live it. Where I live, I had a house that was built, and to the west of me was an empty lot. I had a chance to buy that lot. It would have cost me about $40,000 then. I didn't take it. I missed it. Now there's a house there. If I want to remove that house, it's going to cost me several $100,000 plus the removal. That's where we are with this. My question is, Where were we in 2007 when we disbanded the advisory committee? Who stood up to say, no, we've got to prepare for the future for our airport? Where were we in 2019 when the land was for sale? I was on the board at that time. I don't say I have all the answers, but I did not have anybody come to me, email me or anything and say, hey, we better take advantage of this because we need it for our future. We missed the opportunity, folks, to get it for I think a decent price. Now somebody has purchased it. And I call it the Johnny Appleseed effect. If Johnny Appleseed purchased that 80 plus 20 acres, that 100 acres, what's he going to do? He's going to plant apple trees. We had a developer purchase it in 2019, 7 years ago. What do you think they're going to do with it? They're going to want to develop it. But where were we saying, hey, we got to take care of this, handle it. If we need to fix our airport, then let's do it. But it's going to be a lot more expensive now. We've got something before us. Someone has done with their due diligence, followed the regulations and guidelines, and we're wanting to take that away from them. And I'm not here to win friends and influence people, because I'm obviously not. I think we need to take a look at what we have. I would like to see it go back to planning zoning, but I want to protect them. Good night, sending it back to them. I think they're just saying, no, I don't want it back. I want to be inundated. Why can't we do this in proper fashion without having to have anger, hate, and fear, and politics involved? Let's take care of this. Let's be good neighbors, and let's move on. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Reed. So, Betsy, do you have anything else that you would like to add? I know you've already made your comment about why you wanted the appeal.
I think most everything has been said. As far as the Planning Commission, I don't believe there was factual evidence given that evening. And I think I've made it clear, I'm a rule follower, and I will follow the city's legal counsel, which I believe is to protect the city. So.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Ken?
Yes, there's been a lot said this evening. Everybody's got an opinion. I agree with a lot of what has been said. I disagree with some of the things that have been said. My first inclination was to uphold the decision by the Planning and Zoning Commission. I believe that information has come out that we were not privy to the very first time we talked about this. Had it been given to us, I think the outcome would have been totally different. And that's somewhat disheartening that this was available, yet was withheld from us. Brad made a good point. I too kind of felt like we were somewhat coerced into the position we're in right now. And I don't think that was appropriate either. So in fairness, I think I could live with it going back to planning and zoning. That is really not the direction I would choose, but if the board wants to do that, I think I could work with that. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mindy?
Generally, I like to prepare comments before too, and I didn't, so I'm going to stammer through this. Won't have a lot different than what's been said. I respect the opinions of all the board members and of the statements that they've made. Sometimes we take for granted what we have. The airport has been in operation for many years. It's been doing fine all these years, and so maybe, and I don't know why the Airport Commission was disbanded in 2007. I think at the very least we need to start thinking about enlisting an Airport Commission again to make sure that we have someone overseeing and really protecting our airport. But it's been going, and it sometimes takes things like this, these challenges, these big issues to make us realize that what we have is good, but we need better. And I think that's what this is about, having a future. But even for our airport, but even more than that, there are safety issues, and I have to take that into consideration. Our job tonight is just to decide whether or not we're going to uphold the denial. Based on what I have heard, I watched the Planning Commission's meeting. Based on what I've heard, I feel like my opinion is to uphold that denial. I feel like remanding it back is just going to cause a lot more heartache. But that's what this job's about sometimes. So if there's more heartache, there's more heartache. So.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Just real quick.
Yes.
I just want to say, I haven't experienced hatred or anger or politics on either side. And it is a two-sided issue. And I want to thank everybody because I've had tons of phone calls. I've had tons of emails, and everybody has been very respectful. And every question that has came to me, I passed off to the city staff, and they answered quickly. So I haven't experienced any of that, and I appreciate that I have received kind comments on both sides. And so, and I also have received comments complimenting the Planning Commission, and I think you need to be recognized for that. It was a hard decision, and people acknowledge that it was a hard decision, and I've heard compliments on how you guys handled it.
Madam Mayor, I do have one other thing to say. I also want, for the record, this is not being about development at all.
Right.
This is about the other things that came into play when the Planning Commission made the best decision they could with the information that they felt like they had. And I understand that the developer did everything that they knew to do in the right way. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
Oh,
And Brad, I'll come to you,
Yeah,
and
go
then
ahead.
back to David.
I just, I was listening to Reed, and I like to see Reed get a little feisty. That was interesting. It was around 2000 or so at AML where we attended a conference that talked about if we don't plan for the grid today, when the future gets here, it'll be too late. And I think that's what occurred here. And I've talked in the past about past, present, and future. And I use an analogy, in 1970, if you bought Walmart stock and you sold it, I bet you wish you had it today. We could go all day long like that. And then I asked for a timeline from Chris on some stuff, and thank you for that timeline, Chris. I had to reach back and pull the dossier out. It's very thick. I won't bore you with it. I will go to page number 2. And another thing in the past, which I wasn't aware of, I was a city employee in 2011, but they had an ALP to be approved, and it was not approved by the board of directors. I mean, we could do we could just beat this one up about what we didn't do correctly in the past. When I got on the board, a gentleman in town was real estate. He approached me. I gave that information to then City Administrator Patterson. And at that time, there were also a green space initiative by Benton County. And so several things came to us, and they all got denied. We, the board. I mean, we denied the purchase of that property and the other green space properties that directly impact runoff into Sager Creek and some of our stormwater management issues we're having today. But that is the past, and I'm a big believer in living in the present, and that's why, you know, I brought up a thought process because I am not anti-development. I also want to be on the record recently this year about trying to, we start a conversation about selling the airport because I believe the airport should be an executive style airport. And I had a lot of thoughts about the airport, but presently, you know, when I was a kid in 1968 in California, I remember watching the moon landing. We're there again. This is a different time. I can't live in yesterday, but I know what's happening in Northwest Arkansas. We're going to be 2050 in a very short period of time, 1 million people in 2050. The whole dynamics will change here. And I see the airport as a potential industry and creating revenue long-term for, it's a generational thing. And I see development being flexible, and they're still going to make money because at the end of the day, this is about, at this point, with this preliminary plat, it's about time and money. That's all it is. And time is money, and what we're really talking about here is money. So if we kick it back and then it gets approved, obviously I will appeal, and then we'll bring it back, and my stance isn't going to change, and we're going to all work on our sales pitch. That's all that's really going to happen. But I just remind you that, you know, the future is here. We've all made mistakes in the past. I'll raise my hand on this board from 2014 to 22. Some mistakes were made. We dropped the ball on some stuff. We're not revising plans. When I ran for this position, right in this very room, I talked about plans. I like plans because plans work. And last year, we asked for master street plan revisions. We've asked for a lot of revisions because they have to be done on a regular basis every 3 to 5 years or based on growth and change. Those have to be made. And when you lose focus on that, we're not doing city business. And I think this is another area where our planning area, our future land map has definitely, or the flu, has definitely, we have not kept up with the pace of growth. And I am pro-development, but in a healthy manner. And I thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate whichever way the vote goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Several points have been made by the board members here that I want to address. I will say flat out that there's been a lot of talk about how the board can annex this property when the public voted and it was all denied. I'll explain something. The massive amount of annexation that was proposed to the public was a huge piece of property that was almost a third of what our city is now. I was the only board member, the only one who came out against it when it was first proposed. I was the only candidate in 2024 who came out against it. All the other candidates supported it. My reasoning was we cannot handle that amount of land being developed when we do not have the infrastructure at this time. It was thankfully shot down by the public. But when this was first proposed to the board by Mr. Patterson and Mr. Don Clark, I asked the question, what is the growth plan for the city? It's a valid question. What is the growth plan for the city? And the answer I got was annexation. And I said, how is that a growth plan? Well, the more land we can get in, the more housing will come in. It will be in the city, which means more houses per acre, which means more customers, which means more electric revenue, and that's what we want, is more electric revenue. And of course, at the time, we had an established yearly annual rate increase voted on by the board, proposed by Mr. Patterson, and every single utility was raised annually for 5 years until 2021, when I fought it with the public, raising hell about it, and we stopped it. Now, there's all these sayings that, well, now we're low on money because of it. That additional money and growth plan was a matter of basing it every year on the CPI plus 1%. 2021 was the first year Biden was president and inflation was 9%. So if you can imagine, your rate increase was going to be 10% on everything for the first year. The geometric progression of all of that, based upon more money, more grab, more revenue into the city, I was not for. I was also not for the comprehensive plan. Everybody wants to talk about, well, this is labeled neighborhood what? The city spent over $200,000 to a company to make that comprehensive plan, headed up by those two gentlemen I just mentioned, Don Clark and Philip Patterson. And it was voted on by this board after it was brought forth. I was the only one voted against it because I did not feel the numbers and the placement of zoning was correct. So if anybody wants to gripe about all the neighborhood one and there's commercial further down Bill Young Road, these are things to be concerned about, that's right. But they are things that were guidance, and we got one email saying, were the chicken houses not there? Yes, they were there. And I will say, one of the reasons I was against that annexation is because, the big annexation, because I was told that the electric rate for those chicken houses was going to jack up $60,000 to the owners. And the question was, and I said it too, why do chicken houses need to be annexed in city? They don't. So I'm just saying, I had my reasons for that. I fought against it. I actually asked for a moratorium on development for at least a year. And I was laughed out of the room. People thought I was insane. And it was a matter of, let's hold off until we can try to get the infrastructure. Let me tell you, I was on the board when Crest was approved. There was a demand to RDOT that we get a stoplight at 412. They ignored us. We cannot make RDOT do and we offered to pay for it. And we said, with all the development on Kenwood coming up through Bruce Rutherford, all the development that's coming off of Siloam Crest and Hillcrest, and they fought us and we didn't get it. But I have to say, I got an email that really summed up a lot about both sides of this issue. Well, it wasn't an email, I take it back. It was a post, a comment posted to Lisa Rissler's page about this issue. The gentleman says, I waited to comment on this until I had time to watch a replay of the Planning Commission meeting. I agree with most of the objections to the subdivision, especially from those with airport and flight experience. The runway, if it was ever needed, could easily be extended to 8,000 feet before Bill Young Road and even to 10 to 11,000 feet if you wanted to land any plane ever made. Who knows what the future holds? So I would think a long-term airport planning corridor would be advisable along the path of the runway that extends to Bill Young Road or maybe further. So While I am opposed to the subdivision project in general, I am more strongly opposed to the violation of the developer's property rights. Individual property rights are at the core of this American experience. It's expressed in the 5th and 14th Amendment and even the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness line in the Declaration of Independence. I gathered from the meeting that the developer has complied with all the rules and has even had the property annexed in accordance with city rules. He has complied in good faith, and the Planning Commission, it seems to me, has violated his rights. When the developer follows the right path, the role of the Planning Commission becomes ministerial and not discretionary, meaning they are required to approve it. The city's attorney even states it is a by right use case and urged caution. The rule of law here really makes the objections, including his, irrelevant in this case right now. He says that his objections are irrelevant because of the rule of law. It should have been dealt with long before this stage of the process, and I couldn't agree more. It should have been dealt with a long, long time ago. I wasn't on the board in 2007, or I would have argued we do not need to disband our airport commission. I don't know why it was, except I have talked to board members who were, and they have all stated the same thing, that the airport was as big as it was going to get. There was not any need for it to grow any further, and that the investigation had already occurred that if we did, we would have to build a tower, and it would take a lot of money. The fact is, we are already on the airspace of XNA, our city airport. The things that I have heard and read that our citizens have honestly believed is laughable. The fact that people believe that our airport is a backup to XNA, are you kidding me? No, really, I'm serious. This has gone around. I've had people call me and say, no, our airport it's got to be a backup and we got to continue. No, it's not a backup. Never has been, it never will be. The thing that frustrates me the most is the St. Siloam airport signs all over town, because it acts as if, to the general public, as if the city's planning to close the airport or sell the airport or do something with the airport, which couldn't be further from the truth. Never has been discussed. To put those signs up is disingenuous and dishonest to the citizens of Siloam Springs. I don't think it was right to do that. And what we've received today, that approving residential development will compromise public safety, restrict future airport expansion, expose the city to litigation risk, and undermine long-term economic development. Those are all opinions. They are not fact. Undermining long-term economic development, tell me how. The airport staying as it is now hurts long-term economic development. Restricting future airport expansion. The airport is as big as it needs to be. It's not going to get any bigger unless you have a radical change of that entire area. That's just a fact. And the amount of blatant misleading of the public is just not right. So the fact that there was all of the discussion that the city never is going to do airport road, yeah, we are. And it's been discussed a long time, and it's on the agenda this year to completely be redone. The stoplight at 412 was discussed. RDOT controls it, not the city. But I will say, I'm not going to read any more Facebook. I'm not going to continue reading the deception put upon the public. I value the relationships I have with the families who built this town. And I hope that they can eventually see through the manipulation that has been used to cloud the actual facts on this matter. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, David.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Lisa.
I know we're supposed to stay specifically on the meeting and make our decision based off the meeting. But I do have a question, and I kept my statement to that. But there's been comments that I have questions from. And we keep talking about in 2007, we disbanded the airport committee. What year did we start getting FAA grants?
I would probably deflect that to possibly the airport manager may have some information. We recently received a FOIA for 20 years worth of grants. I don't know if he has a record of that. We only have a certain amount of time period where we keep certain records, so I'm not sure if we would have the records that would go back to original grants. Typically after 20 years, any city record, with the exception of a very few city records that pertain to district court, go beyond 20 years. So I couldn't answer that question. I'm not sure if there's anybody that.
Yeah, and Director Slar,
specifically
I don't know
could.
that having an airport commission would be a prerequisite to receiving FAA grants. That may not be a that may not be necessary in order to receive a grant. I don't know the answer to that.
And we have grant
Because we've received them since then.
We have grant assurances. There's-
Yeah, so it probably isn't.
Okay, because we keep focusing on that, and I don't know.
Well, some of the discussion, some of the documents that we received were the grant assurances that discuss that we have to protect specific lands and adjacent to the airport.
Mhm.
And we have had those discussions with the FAA recently, and
But they didn't give a ruling, they just gave.
they gave us and I'm trying to keep my comments based off of what we discussed at the Planning Commission meeting. I believe we did discuss some of this at the Planning Commission meeting, which was that we had a meeting with the FAA and we specifically asked them if this impacts any of the existing grants that we've had or grants that we've had in the past. And the FAA informed us that no, it would impact grants, but it would be future grants. And we did have that conversation with the FAA because we wanted to ensure that the grant assurances were not just didn't impact anything that we've already done.
And Chris, I think it was also future grants specific to runway expansion, correct? I mean, so
That's
But
correct.
the discussion did occur before.
Yes, that's
that
important to
meeting.
clarify. Is if this project were to move forward, we would not magically become ineligible for future grants from the FAA.
Right.
We would be ineligible for grants that would expand this to the north.
But before this conversation started, there was conversation with the FAA about growth, expansion.
There was, with previous grant applications, the ALP was utilized as the document for the airport layout plan. So that document was submitted with previous grant applications. What we will have to do if this project is approved is provide a revised airport layout plan to the FAA that will eliminate the future expansion portion that was on that document. We can no longer state that we'll have a future expansion to the north if this development occurs to the north because we wouldn't have the RPZ area that would be required to expand to the north. So we can't keep that on the plan and resubmit that. So before we do any type of future grant application, we would at minimum have to work with Garver, our airport engineer, and get an updated ALP, which we would probably, I would imagine, get reviewed and take it to the board for consideration. So,
So with everything that's been said, I want to make a motion to uphold the planning commissions.
We already have a
Well,
motion.
yeah, we have a motion,
But
you
you
have a
can make-
motion, so you need to vote on it.
Yeah, we'll
before
vote on
you
that,
can make-
and then
Or
we'll-
he would have to withdraw it.
I also have an additional comment, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so yeah, we'll have to vote on the motion and
I thought they
second.
stacked.
No, we've got to do that one first.
Okay.
What we would stack is if there was an amendment to the motion.
Okay.
If there was an amendment to the motion on the floor, we would have to vote on that amendment first, right? And then we would vote on the amended motion.
Madam Mayor,
But that's not where we are.
it's a friendly amendment, so the amendment that staff read could be, I believe it can be accepted by the person that made the motion as long as the person that seconded the motion agreed upon those terms.
But that's not what we're looking at. We're actually looking at.
The
a
actual
separate
motion was the original motion that Director Allen made
That's
and
correct.
was seconded. Until that the friendly amendment has not been added at this time. So
Right.
if Director Allen wanted to add that friendly amendment based off of the recommendations from the city attorney, he would have to verbally state that, and it would have to be
Approved by the
approved
second.
by the seconder, or a new second would be required.
Gotcha. And whenever you're talking about the friendly part, you're talking about the part you read that we needed to include in the motion.
Yes, I read it very friendly.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So,
So to include that, do I simply request that that be part of the motion, or is that he
think-
said a friendly amendment, but I don't know.
yeah,
what-
Yes, I think you can just say, I would like to include what Chris read as, and then part of my motion.
Part
Well,
of the
then I
motion.
would like to include what Chris said as part of my motion, as long as the second approves it as
and
well.
Betsy, do you approve that?
I approve that.
Okay. So-
Here's my last bit. I will say, I don't want this development any more than I want any other development in Siloam. I really don't. I wish Siloam could be frozen in time because we have too much growth that we are not managing. But I can't do anything about it. I've got the 2020 census right here. If you don't believe, every single city has the same problem. It's not anything any of us can do anything about. But I will tell you, if this comes back to this board for a vote, I do have additional questions. I got emails, as the board did, about water pressure in Hillcrest and Stonecrest. If a new housing addition is going to cut the already low water pressure in these housing developments, that is something that needs to be addressed. So I'm just saying that's a question. I have very much appreciated the comments made of the risks involved of a potential crash. I have taken that into account. I am a law and order person. I keep an open mind to the facts, not opinions and not emotions. So I'm just saying, I'm not one way or the other decided if this comes back to this board. I am still investigating, researching, and open to topic discussion. But take into account what I said a moment ago. I'm not open to opinions stated as fact when they're not. And Madam Mayor, thank you.
So, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Are we comfortable with how we have that worded for the
Yes,
record?
the amendments have been accepted by.
Okay, all right. So then we are ready for a roll call.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
Can we have someone explain what a yes vote means, what a no vote means?
a yes vote will remand this back to the Planning Commission for them to look at, and they are going to be receiving additional evidence and testimony relevant to the identified issues, limit its consideration to facts bearing on the applicable denial criteria, including subsection 35-57-9, make specific findings tied to the comprehensive plan and supported by evidence in the record, and avoid reliance on generalized opinion or preferences not grounded in the plan or ordinance. That is what they will be considering.
With a yes vote.
With a yes vote. It will go back to them for that purpose.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
No.
Wiles,
No.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
No.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
No.
Motion fails by a 4-3 vote. With that, directors, do I have another motion that you would like to make, Lisa?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to uphold the Planning Commission's decision.
Okay, you want to uphold the denial, and we are going to, for clarity, the board finds that the record demonstrates that the proposed development is inconsistent with relevant provisions of the comprehensive plan, and that this inconsistency supports denial under the ordinance.
Is there a second?
No?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. You both agree to that additional friendly language in the motion?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, could you read that one more time, please?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, you're moving to uphold the Planning Commission's denial of the Cloudview Estates preliminary plat on the basis that the record contains sufficient evidence to support a finding under subsection 35-46A1C9 that the proposed development is incompatible with the context of its location and the character of surrounding existing or planned neighborhoods as characterized in the city's adopted 2040 comprehensive plan. For clarity, we are also adding, the board finds that the record demonstrates that the proposed development is inconsistent with relevant provisions of the comprehensive plan and that this inconsistency supports denial under the ordinance. Okay, so everyone understand what your motion and second is? All right.
Could you tell a yes and a no again?
All right. Yes, sir. If you vote yes, then you are voting to uphold the denial by the Planning Commission. If you vote no, you are disagreeing that you are not, you do not agree that the motion should be upheld. Okay? Roll call.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
No.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
No.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
No.
Motion to uphold the denial is approved by a 4-3 vote. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, we will move to item L, which is approval, ground lease, consent to assignment, Siloam Springs, Arkansas Hospital.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Chris.
Staff would request a 5-minute recess.
Yes,
Because of the
absolutely.
audio on the camera.
All right, we will take a 5-minute recess to adjust audio.
detriment to
It's Christina's job is to track her ground. She goes very good.
I thought he
Came back in.
is
Alan and Blair. Put an air tag on.
We will wait just a moment for Director Allen to be able to get back into the room before we continue.
Did you talk to him on the phone?
Yes.
I
Discussion. I didn't get.
said, I don't make my decision
No,
until the
I
night.
just have to wait till tonight.
That's what I told him. I don't think he was happy. He kept saying,
Yeah, he said that to me too.
Kevin, do you see him in the hallway? Okay.
Cammy, did you find him in the restroom?
Good girl, Kimmy. Thank you.
Don't want to know.
Where did Mark go?
He's chasing down
He had to go.
I was going to start this meeting by saying, you know, we're only allowed to play outside until 11, so we got to be out of here before 11.
Bring that up, will you?
So we are back in session. We are going to move forward. Item L is approval for the ground lease consignment or consent to assignment from the Siloam Springs, Arkansas Hospital. Christina?
Madam Mayor, members of the board. So CHS is selling to, hold on, let me get
Freeman.
Freeman Oak Hill Health System, and basically this approval is simply to transfer the ground lease to the new building owners.
Very good. Thank you. Directors, any comments or questions about the assignment of ground lease? If there's not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this ground lease consignment? If there is not, then do I have a motion to approve the ground lease consent to assignment for the Siloam Springs Hospital?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is approval, budget amendment, city administrator for Cassell.
Madam Mayor?
Christina.
So our current software provider, BSNA, was not able to resolve the outstanding issues within the 30-day cure period. The board has the option of staying with BSNA, however, staff is still not satisfied with that the software is billing correctly. In fact, I have an email from Glenn Severn this morning with his latest review of several accounts that he was looking at, and it is still not billing correctly. So the board has the option to direct staff to go back out to bid, or we can move back to Cassell. We have the option of moving back to Cassell because we still have that software. However, reintegration is going to cost about $165,000. That is roughly 6 months of utility billing data and over a year's worth of data for the other modules. There is a little kink in this, however, I received notification of a change in an email from Cassell this morning, and while they continue to use Express Bill Pay, that will be phased out. And they will be providing an online payment option, not the same, but similar as a third party as they do for BSNA.
So it won't be Express, but it'll still be a third party, not them. It'll be a third party that they.
It'll be Cassell.
Yeah, but it'll be a third party.
Yes, it'll be a third party. And Express Bill Pay, they said that it will stay Express Bill Pay for now, but then that would be phased out over time. And I was not told how long.
Did they give a reason why they're getting rid of Express Bill?
Express Bill Pay got bought out, and I believe that their service has declined.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So Christina, will that involve customers having to go in and make another change to their account to get set up with another system, or will whoever takes over Express Pay just automatically bring in that information?
I don't have that information, and I won't until later this month. Because all they've done today is send out an email and say, hey, this is coming. It's not coming right now, but it is coming, and we'll work with you on a transition at some point in the future. Attend a meeting later this month.
Well, I think I speak for a lot when I say even if they did have to do that, it would be a better experience than what they've been experiencing. So, but hopefully they can make it an easy transition.
I hope so as well.
Anyone else? Directors?
Madam Mayor,
Yes. Reed.
I'd like to see us go back to Cassell, but I would like to get the radar up to date and looking for something that we can work with that will meet our needs. Because right now that we have a Band-Aid either way.
If you want to do a citywide integrated solution, we will have to move. However, if the departments that did not have a software solution previously, if you're willing to piecemeal that with things that are specialized for those departments, Cassell works great for the billing and for finance.
But to go back to Cassell, it's $165,000.
Correct.
Madam Mayor,
Yes. Betsy.
my thought is go back to Cassell for billing. Everybody seemed to be happy. I'm a little afraid to try to do a whole integrated one again. And the departments that don't, get them a software that's really good for them, would be my thought for the citizens' sake.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
So obviously, we really don't have much of a choice. Having said that, how can we, on our social media platform, be more informative and maybe ease some of the tension in the community? You know, like I mean, we've got to, you know, we're not going to win everybody over, and you know, but I don't know. We've just got to our best of our ability, be transparent and clear in statement and try to ease it. You know, there's no winning here, but
There's no winning. If the budget amendment is approved for us to go back to Cassell, we will go back and sign a contract with them. The mayor will have to sign that. Once we have a conversion date, then I think before the conversion actually occurs, we start putting out that clear, plain message that this is where we're going and what we're going to do. We are also going to have to implement a plan for longer repayment periods. We have not done shutoffs or penalties for the last 6 months. At some point, we will have to start doing those again, but again, that's got to be on a plan And for some people, if they don't get shut off, they don't pay their bill. So we are going to have to say, okay, we're going to start shut-offs again, but you can get on a payment plan, but we'll have to lengthen that payment plan beyond the normal 3 months that we would normally do. I mean, it's going to have to be a process for certain.
Anyone else? Not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the approval for the budget amendment for going back to Cassell? There is not, so directors, do I have a motion for the approval of the budget amendment for the $165,000 for Cassell?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes. Sorry.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Christina. Next, we will move to our ordinances. Ordinance 26-02, third reading, amending City Municipal Code, Parks, Rental, and Cemetery Fees. Jason?
Madam Mayor, board members, Jason Davis, Community Services Director. This is our third reading for the amending the Parks rental codes. We have not had any phone calls or any concerns on the matter, and we're open for any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Directors? Comments or questions?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Reed.
Jason, thank you for what you and your team has done, and go Sunflowers.
Sir.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 26-02? There is not. Do I have a motion to place ordinance 26-02 on its third reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Okay. Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 26-02, an ordinance amending certain provisions of Chapter 74, Parks and Recreation, and Chapter 26, Cemeteries of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, including Sections 74-72, 74-142, 26-35, and 26-36 pertaining to policies, procedures, and fees.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 26-02?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to adopt is approved. Next is ordinance 26-03, third reading, amending section 35-185 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from R2 to C2, 1218 East Kenwood Street. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Ben Rhodes, City Senior Planner. Yes, this is the third reading for the rezoning at 1218 East Kenwood. Again, as a reminder, this is going from R2 residential medium to C2 roadway commercial for an office use. Since the last reading, staff has not received any additional questions or comments from the public, and the planning staff and the planning commission find that the rezoning request meets the minimum lot requirements for C2 zoning, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors, comments or questions? There is none. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 26-03? There is not. Do I have a motion to place ordinance 26-03 on its third reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes?
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 26-03, an ordinance amending section 35-185 of Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from R2 to C2, property located at 1218 East Kenwood Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 26-03?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes?
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to adopt is approved. Ordinance 26-03 is adopted. Next is ordinance 26-06, first reading, amending City Municipal Code, Chapter 35, various titles. Ben?
Yes, thank you again, Madam Mayor. Ben Rood, Senior Planner. Chapter 35, also referred to, as many of you guys know, as the Unified Development Code, was adopted by the City Board of Directors on November 4th, 2025, last year. And since that time, staff has administered the new code through daily business for various reviews. And in so doing so, we have identified several typographical issues that require attention and the general update for the full chapter. We knew this was coming. This is the first update of several that will come along the pike. The attached redaction, as pictured to the left there, crosses out the text that is intended for deletion and underlines text intended for insertion in the code. I'll go over just real quickly just what some of these changes are, just so you guys are all aware of what you're voting on. So for section 1, that's a change to title 3, making references back to the general standards notice rather than a particular permit type. And we're doing that just to clarify the intended process, just for better clarification in the code. In section 2, we just updated some of the numbering scheme that wasn't consistent with other parts of the chapter. There's no content change with that, just numbering scheme change. For section 3, probably the most substantive change, the update that when large significant trees are removed from a project site, they are placed at a lesser rate. That's a 1-to-1 rate within the building footprint area, rather than, as it states now, to 1-to-7, which means, one tree is cut down, you have to plant 7 new ones. So this is intended to be included in the original code. It just was inadvertently omitted. So the building footprint would be treated separately than the rest of the site, essentially. For section 4, that's just a typographical correction to a quotation mark. And section 5, we had already removed a schedule of fees, but the code still referenced back to the schedule of fees. So we just have taken out some of those other references so that there isn't a circular reference for a schedule fee that's nowhere to be found. So that is all referenced back to the ITE manual for the intended changes there. For section 6, we've continued a clarification of just removing different parts of the schedule of fees, and then we just made a spelling correction in section 7. Staff and the Planning Commission have reviewed this, and we find it has met the necessary changes for its intended purposes, and staff and Planning Commission recommends approval of the ordinance as presented. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors, any comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
Hey, Ben, under section 3, replaced with a 2.5 dBH, is that the diameter of the tree?
Yeah, diameter at breast height is what that DBH stands for, yeah.
So survivability rate is greater if you increase that.
Well, it's what that's
standard?
referring is to how we count a significant tree. So which trees wood trigger needing to be replaced. So that's not being changed. What we're looking at is just the rate of replacement. So rather than 1 to 7, it's a 1-to-1 replacement. But how you define significant trees, that's not changing.
Right, I'm aware of that. I'm just talking about when you replace that tree for survivability rate. I just use that as a template, would be what they did along the Greenway. So that you can actually, within your lifetime, the tree actually develops. Because some of the diameters we put in now, it's about the second or third property owner that actually sees the tree.
Madam
So you
Mayor.
get what I'm saying?
Yes,
I can
Chris.
address that a little bit. So I believe it's actually misquoted on the slide. I think that what we have a replacement is 1 to 5. So for each one tree removed, typically we put back 5. The purpose of the ordinance, whenever we went through the review process, was to discourage cutting down significant trees. On development sites, the general idea is to focus on where you need to develop. That's why we were originally proposing that 1-to-1. If you're going to remove one just in the footprint of the building, then you would replace it somewhere else. And yes, you're correct. You're 100% correct. The reason why it's 1 to 5, and I noted that it says 1 to 7, and I'll need to look at that with staff. But 1 to 5 ratio means when you remove one significant tree and you replace it with 5, it has a 20% chance of making it to the maturity level of the previous tree. So if you plant 5 trees that are 1 1/4 inch diameter at breast height, or 14 feet tall, typical, then it has a 20% chance of survival to get to at least an 8-inch diameter at breast height whenever it's fully matured. So that's why in areas outside of the footprint, we're discouraging that removal of that vegetation and that those mature trees by saying if you remove those unnecessarily, then there would be 5 new trees that would be planted in their place to try to encourage that to grow back to full maturity. And you're correct. One of the things we're looking at with the drainage criteria manual is whenever we have grading permits, we're planning on adding a similar approach to that. If you have a grading permit, one of the things we will be proposing is if you, as a private property owner, want to clear cut the property, then first of all, you have to have a grading permit. You already have to have that. But to get a grading permit, if you go to remove 7, and I think that's where the 7 comes from, if you go to remove 7 or more significant trees, then you have to have the grading permit. And we're looking at a tree mitigation plan option for that. And we'll be proposing that to the board in the future. And that would also include areas, for example, in streets and different things for subdivision. If you're building your streets through the forested area of a lot, then yes, you're correct. Then that would come back at a 5-to-1 ratio instead of the 1-to-1. For these, we're looking at more like if you're building a McDonald's or if you're building a new apartment complex, then just those areas where those footprints fall, that's where the 1-to-1 ratio would come back.
I don't want to be Fayetteville with trees.
That's correct.
But having said that, like the Unified Development Code, a lot of the stuff, and even in our comprehensive plan, when you look through it, when we give examples, there's these glorious trees, right? We're all like, oh, that's what the neighborhood's going to look like, right? A planned development we've got going on. And so I just, want to make sure that we're given, within a reasonable time, it does resemble the very things that we're up here selling to the public or getting buy-in on. So I appreciate the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 26-06? There is not. Do I have a motion to place ordinance 26-06 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Carroll.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes?
Allen.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 26-06, an ordinance amending Chapter 35 of the Municipal Code with respect to landscaping, fees, and other matters.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is ordinance 26-07, first reading, amending section 35-185 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from P-DL to P-DL amended, 20,000 block of Bruce Rutherford Road. Ben?
Yes, thank you again, Madam Mayor. Ben Rhodes. So this is an unusual rezoning because it's essentially amending a previous plan development that was already approved. This is for the Winding Springs development that is off of Bruce Rutherford Road, as you see on the map there. And so there is currently a preliminary plat that's already under construction right now. But that's just for the first phase, and they're now trying to start planning for the second phase, which is the southern part of the development. And so in doing that, they discovered several things that need to be addressed within Ordinance 2507, which is what originally established the PD zone standards. And so some of that includes amendment to address the roundabout that was originally called out as a requirement for on the southern terminus of that north-south street. And so what's determined since the time of the approval of that original ordinance is that that roundabout is not really called for or needed so much anymore because the intensive land use that was supposed to be further south on the south side of Kenwood or Bruce Rutherford is no longer proceeding in the same manner as we originally thought. And so the traffic is just not going to be really warranting a roundabout per se. So they're requesting to have that taken out. There's also a few other minor changes, as you see kind of bulleted out here on the slide, related to the lot counts. They've cut down, I believe, 2 lots, bringing the final lots to 230. And they're also reorienting some of the areas. If you might recall, when that was approved, there were sub areas that all had specific standards, like the parts for the townhomes, the parts for the parks, and all that. So those sub areas are shifting around a little bit because they had to readdress where some of those lots are going for drainage. And that has zoning implications because those areas are no longer lining up to the reality of what they want to build. So this amendment essentially kind of cleans up all those housekeeping issues. So we did present this to the Planning Commission, and they recommended approval. Staff has found that this is correct within the approval. And I did want to point out that the correct applicant name is on the attached in the the Planning Commission staff report. And so with that, we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors, comments or questions for Ben?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Lisa.
Ben, is this changing the road from a collector street to a neighborhood or local street?
I don't believe it is, but I would have to defer over to.
It is referring.
It is changing it? Okay.
Okay, but the resolution is reflecting, I mean, the ordinance is reflecting that it's staying a collector street.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
And we can take a look. I can take a look at the ordinance revision just to see what the language says. I'm not familiar with it right off the top of my head. But one of the things that I do know is they probably didn't include it in the presentation because I believe the ordinance talks about how the city engineer has the authorization to go one up or one down from what's authorized. So that may be where the confusion came in on what the requirements are as far as going from PDL to PDL amended. L stands for legacy, so we won't ever have a new PD-L, just a little side note there. But whenever we're amending them, then yes, that's probably something that staff should have noted. But there's a little bit of, since the city engineer has the authority to make that call one way
Right.
or another by another ordinance, that's probably why it wasn't in the package and probably was overlooked, and I can take a closer look at that.
Okay. Does this affect future access to Highway 412 or the long-term transportation plan for this area?
It's my understand on the north end, there's an intersection, and I don't know if we have a slide that kind of shows that a little bit better than this one. But on the north end, there's an intersection, and I believe that it'll widen back out, and it'll go to the north. I would deflect to Brent O'Neill. He's our city engineer, and he can answer any additional questions.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Directors, Brent O'Neill, City Engineer. If you look at the exhibit that's shown on the screen there, the alignment for that road that will connect at 412, I do believe, and I'll have to, it connects at the intersection of 59 and 412.
Near the projection of that intersection down to the property.
Yes. So with that and with the downgrade, if it was a collector, of course, you have a wider street, you have higher speeds.
Right.
There is a section at the south end where we would have lots that would have driveways that enter onto that collector, which is not a safe movement if you have speeds 35 miles an hour plus.
Okay.
With it being downgraded to a local, I think the maximum speed is 30 miles an hour. And that could be looked at and reduced because then you have a narrower street, and it is a traffic calming method that is used all over. Narrower streets, slower speed limits, and on-street parking. Obviously, I don't believe there's going to be any ordinance restricting any on-street parking.
And I have a question on that too, because you talked about when it's a collector street, sorry, you limit the driveways. So are you allowing more driveways on this?
No, there's
Are we
like
gonna have some
15, there's going to be 15 driveways, and they back up to the existing subdivision on the west.
So that it's not going to make it, okay. How's that going to affect because we have a lot of streets in town that, and I met with staff at them, you're allowing parking on both sides.
I don't know for a fact that's the case.
Because there's some streets
That's correct.
that
Madam
fire
Mayor.
department, I would not want my car parked on that street when the fire department needs to come down because they're going to wipe them out. And I don't blame them.
I can tell you on the first phase, there are areas that are designated no parking with signage.
And can we consider that because we're still dealing with streets that we're not dealing with them. We're ignoring them.
We can't
And we still have citizens calling and saying, I still can't get down my street and emergency vehicles can't get in there. So can we address that early on and not wait till after the fact? Because then it doesn't get taken care of.
We can consider that, yes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I just want to, one of the benefits of a PD, a plan development, is that the board can do additional conditions of approval. So, as you're amending, you can say, hey, the street changed. I'm okay with the changes, but we need to make an amendment to say no parking. If you wanted to say no parking on one side or on both sides of the street, then that's, with this type of development, a plan development, you can create those type of conditions of approval.
And how do you determine which side gets the park and which side doesn't?
That would be the fire marshal. If you did one side, it's typically based off of after the houses are built, there's a side of the street that will have mailboxes unless they have a central mailbox location. But the fire marshal would likely assess, or the applicant can designate that on the plat, but the fire marshal has the authority to override that. Even if it's approved on the plat, the fire marshal is the ultimate authority on where these no parking lanes are, because the purpose of those is to ensure that fire truck access and public safety is followed.
Okay, I would like to make that recommendation, but I do have some more questions. Does the master street plan still identify the connection or as important future growth? Are we planning on growth in this area? Or I know the school's not going to go out there, and I know they don't want the roundabout, and makes perfect sense. But are we looking at future growth in that area when we?
I'm not familiar
On the
with the
master
future land
strip
use
and-
map for the area.
I'm sorry.
I'm not familiar with the future land use map for this area right off the top of my head.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, I'm not really familiar directly off of that with this
Okay.
already being a PDL to a PDL. It's maintaining that same use, so that's a little bit more extensive of a review. If you're moving to a new use, then we would review the future land use map to determine if it's
Okay.
compatible with the future land use map, et cetera. But since this was going from PDL to PDL, then that's likely not a part of the review for this type. We would just look at the amendment request.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to make sure we understand the long-term consequences.
Yes.
Because of some of the issues that I've met with staff on the streets, and I still get the phone calls, like, and so, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, go
So
ahead.
Betsy, I'll go to you, and then David, I will come to you.
So I understand the school and the bus barn aren't going south, but I can almost guarantee that at some point, and probably not terribly far away, that land will sell and there will be a development. We are growing and growing and growing. I think that's pretty clear. I am, and I've made it clear from the very beginning with this development, I am not comfortable with that street. And I understand what you're saying about going down a level of the street so it will be more narrow. I personally don't believe that will stop people from speeding or slow them down. And I'll be frank, I really dislike driving on 412. So I go Lake Francis Drive, I go Gum Springs, I go every which way, and I know I'm not the only one. So this street is going to be a great shot when you're coming north to go down, cut across on Kenwood, skip 412. This is going in, I foresee it as being a very, very busy street. I am not comfortable with changing it from a collector street. I think it needs to stay a collector street. And I'm really not comfortable, and I've said this from when it was changed, I don't like the driveways. Driveways for 15 houses backing out onto whether it's a narrow local street or a collector street. I see that as a mess. I've seen it in other cities. I've talked to staff about it in other cities, and they've seen it too. My understanding is there'll be, at least for part of it, a turn lane so you can turn to the west. But and with the streets, if there's parking on the streets, or even if there's not, these are residential, these are family. So I foresee the driveways are backed up. So you're driving down the street, whether it's narrow local street or wide, and a kid's ball rolls out into the street, and you can't see anything in front of you because you've got all the driveways are parked up. I find the name of the street ironic because I foresee that's what's going to happen. I know it's named after a bird, but I am incredibly concerned about this. I've brought it up every time. I think we should do, and Chris can explain it better than I can, the back alley over and move what will be Killdeer is the name of the street over to the west. It worked before. There would be gradually taper Kenwood where it goes south of the intersection, maybe take 30 feet or so to the transition, would take very little, if any, right of way. And the way it is proposed now, there's a 20-foot dedicated piece of no man's land between this development and Grandview subdivision to the west. We are going to grow. It's going to be a busy street. And we're building it now, and here we talk about recently, a few items ago, the poor planning with the airport and what's not been done, and now this is where we are. I foresee if this is allowed to be built this way in a smaller street and driveways backing out, in a few years, why was that allowed? Why, there are accidents, people are backing up, there are traffic jams, people are driving too fast. I'm really, really struggling with allowing this change, with allowing those houses along there when it doesn't have to be that way. And I've spoken with Brent and Chris, and other experts, and it doesn't have to be like this. And I see this as very, very dangerous down the road. And as we grow and there's more traffic, and this is gonna be a great way to cut through and avoid 412. So, I'm sure I've forgotten something. If anybody who's visited with me about it wants to chime in and tell me what I've forgotten or correct me, I am good with that. Yeah, I think while we're doing this, we need to do it right from the beginning, and not just create more of a mess and something that's dangerous, backing out onto that street. And it's happened in other cities where they've done something similar, and then they end up having to go back and widen it because it's a mess, and people are getting rear-ended, and people are having a hard time backing out. And they back out right in front of you, and then that makes me angry. Somebody backed out right in front of me, and I was going 35, and now I'm going 5 miles an hour. And thankfully, I don't have road rage, but yeah. So anyway, that's all. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Betsy. David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The streets to the west of this addition, the ones with White Rock, Anthracite, Travertine, absolutely have cars on both sides parked in front of their homes. And I know that because of the number of calls I got from the developer to the west of these streets. Mr. Chavez was using these residential streets to haul his heavy piping, concrete pipe on big trucks, took out street signs, came very close to hitting some cars. And it's one of those things where when you allow big giant semi trucks with trailers full of this stuff for development to not come in off of Kenwood, but to go down narrow residential streets, this is what's going to happen, especially when we allow the parking on both sides. And it's not just a few, it is all the way up and down on both sides of the street. People do not have one car parked in their driveway. They have 3 or 4, and they park on both sides, and it makes it a 1-lane road, if that. I don't believe changing it any lower than a collector street is wise. If it stays a collector street, are we allowed to have the speed limit be 30 instead of 35? Or does it have to be 35 because it's a collector?
I believe it is our discretion at the speed limit.
So, Madam Mayor,
Yes, Chris.
on the speed limits, they're set by the size of the street. However, this is the legislative body, so if you so choose to have that to a different speed, then you can reduce that to whatever you would like.
I think this is going to be a cut-through shortcut, and we might as well plan on it now because that's what it's going to be. And narrowing it down is not a good idea. I know the developer wants that because it's less money for him to put a narrower street, but it's not a good idea. So I am not for that. I know that we are evaluating, it's already PDL, right? It's already PDL. This is just an amendment to the PDL. But I can't support the amendment.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
are driveways allowed to empty out onto a collector street?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Chris.
I'm going to remember whenever this came through the first time, Kevin Moore was here, and he was the one that addressed that issue. So I'm going to try not to quote him, but give a generalization of what he spoke about. At the time, the driveways were going to be, every other lot, I believe, was going to be connected, which would
share.
allow them to have the separation requirements. So every other shared lot line would have a singular driveway, and every other driveway, or every other property line would not have a driveway at all. So each two houses would share that singular that would go to likely a side entry garage or something to that nature. But that would be up to them during the development process to work out, and they have to submit something that would meet the code requirement.
But then we would it's still the same number of houses and cars backing out onto this, what will be a main thoroughfare, whether it's a neighborhood street or a collector street. We're still going to have the same number of cars backing out onto the street.
There would be the same number of vehicles. Yes, it would just be a reduction of the curb cuts for the driveways themselves, and that could also you had brought up rear entry garages or rear entry
alleyway.
So typically with an alleyway, it takes you to a singular point that's a little bit further away from an intersection that would potentially be a safer route. And I know the applicants here, I don't know the depth of those individual lots or what their plan is at that location yet, but when those would come through a review, they would have to meet the minimum requirements of the code before they could get their building permit.
But it would be possible, and that would certainly make it much safer not to have.
I can't say it would be possible. I'm saying that with redesign, anything's possible. We definitely don't go to the developer and tell them how to design their product.
Right.
Their project, they bring us the design. But this is a little bit different because it's a plan development. The PD portion of it allows the board to have some sort of conditions on that. The condition doesn't currently exist, but there's changes for the roundabout. So
this potentially could be changed so that there are no driveways that empty out onto this thoroughfare.
I wouldn't say it's impossible. I would say it's definitely something that we could look at with the developer. If we were going to make that change, though, since this is an ordinance, I would recommend instead of moving that forward to the reading, I would recommend tabling it to have the staff make those changes, because if you bring this back at a second reading and make changes to it at that point, then you would have to start all over. So I think it's a little confusing if we do that. So
right, and I understand that, and part of the thing, you can have all the signs in the world, no on-street parking on this side or that side, but the reality is people are going to do it. They do it all over town anyway. And I don't really think that's how the police need to spend their time, running around giving parking tickets. I know they have far more important things to do. I would prefer personally, and I'm only one person, to table it and see about making that safer. I mean, it's going to be full of kids. There are going to be more neighborhoods. They're all already building more neighborhoods on Kenwood. This concerns me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
I remember the workshops on the PD, right? And the whole purpose of that was to address those things. I don't have a problem. I mean, I'll support tabling it, but I'm going to make a couple of comments. First of all, for Director Rissler, my last recall of a revision review we did of the master street plan was, although it would be expensive, that 59. That intersection of 412 and 59 on the Arkansas side goes through, and we're aware of the impact to Kenwood Street. I'm a fan of roundabouts. I'm a failure at that fan. Having said that, if we don't, and I just said it this evening, if we don't prepare the grid for the future when we're there, it's too late. And when we start taking away what RDOT has proven to be safer and move traffic more efficiently, it is concerning because some board in the not too distant future will be addressing that issue. And I reflect to staff's report, we go to page 2, where the commentator has some questions on the narrow roads connecting Stonebridge development via Timothy Street to Highway 412 as people park on both sides of the street. The commentator expanded that this would result in greater traffic on Kenwood Street, and with the 4-way stop sign proposed at Kenwood and Highway 16, traffic would back up substantially on Kenwood Street. And then the commentator also ended by saying they appreciate the design development in terms of its unique qualities. I like to end that on a positive for you, but that's what's going to happen in that area. Keep in mind, we have several other developments that will come back that were on our table that are coming back. This area is going to blow up. And if we're not, if we're stepping away from flowing traffic efficiently, and we're not addressing what Director Blair just brought up, and this is being proactive, and I think we're in the right, frame of mind by being proactive with this one. This PD is a great template of what we want to see developed in Siloam Springs. They've done a great job with watershed. They have some great design elements out there, and we just need to make sure that we aren't making the same mistakes that when I was on Ward 2, I can point out a couple of developments I regret. I mean, we were wrong. And this is the time to make that right. So I support tabling that, addressing those issues.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I will
Chris.
say that whenever, if this does get tabled by the board, then we'll bring back some better images that kind of show the area with the future land use map.
Sounds good. Anyone else? Do I have a motion to table ordinance 26-07 to the May 19th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table to May 19th. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to table is approved. And Chris, you have the information that you need to bring back changes to this board.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. With that, we will move into our administrator's report. Christina?
Madam Mayor, members of the board, purchases in excess of $30,000 include the following: airport fuel purchases of $33,592 and $30,832 for avgas and Jet A fuel respectively. Electric spent $34,864.80 on cutout mounted reclosers, which are distribution line protection devices. The first quarter recycling award was presented to Farm Credit of Western Arkansas last Friday. And this Thursday will be a busy day. There will be a live fire training at Fire Station 1 starting at 9 a.m. and the Housing Incentive Program stakeholders meeting will occur from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at this location. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So with that, we will move to the director's reports. I would just like to say very quickly and make everyone aware, we talk a lot about the Western Benton County Partnership being a collective group of superintendents, elected officials, chamber members, or presidents, being a part of this group and working on changes for specifically the 59 corridor, so that we have a voice in things that are going on in our region. And one of the things that they focused on was education, and seeing ways and working with the schools to help fund some of those things. And one of the things that they came up with, and we hear a lot about workforce, and they are also wanting to encourage the ability to help kids move from the high school to the workforce. And attendance was one of the things that all the superintendents said that they felt like was really important, that that has become something that's really not important, seems like, to a lot of the kids and even their parents. So they were looking for ways to try and encourage that. So what they came up with was, and this happened this last Monday, I guess, is whenever we did this. Each school, Siloam Springs, Gentry, Decatur, and Gravette, each school was awarded $2,500 to give to students for perfect attendance. There were some exceptions, like if you were gone to the doctor, if you had a doctor's excuse, you were out for that type of illness, that did not count against you. So there were some things like that, but there were, in Siloam, there were 115 students that met that criteria for an award. And so there were 2 students given a $1,000 check each, and there were 5 students that received a $100 gift certificate. Those kids were so excited. And I think that all of their fellow students were applauding them and excited for them. And I think that this is hopefully a really good way to start motivating kids to think about, hey, you know, I might get something if I'm at school. I'm a little bit more motivated if I think I may get an award of some sort, or I may get money, or, I mean, you know, hey, whatever it takes to get them at school and keep them in school, right? Because workforce is looking for that. Those kids, it's important to them. I mean, we all know that knowledge is power, and we encourage our students to be in school. So I just want everyone to be aware that that is something that this Western Benton County group has done and will continue to do in the coming years. So I think that's good. I think anytime that we help kids, we've done something right. So with that, I will move to our directors, and Mindy, we will start with you, and David, we will end with you.
Okay, it's already been a long night, so I won't go on too long. Besides, we can't park out there past 11 o'clock, right? So we've got to be on here pretty soon. I do just want to say that we've had to make some hard decisions over the years, and tonight's was one of the harder ones. I do believe that all of us have the best interest. I mean, we have what is best for Siloam as what's on top of our minds. So that's always in our minds when we try to make decisions. I think we're all rule followers. I think sometimes we interpret rules differently. And in this case, you know, ultimately someone else may have to decide, but I do appreciate the input from each of the board members. I appreciate the input from the staff and all the work that they've done on all of these projects, and I appreciate all the input from the citizens. It just can be kind of a hard thing sometimes. On a lighter note, congratulations to the Chamber for a successful Dogwood Festival. Oh, and one more thing. Sorry, I said I was going to keep it short. I was out of town for a couple of weeks, and as I've said before, and I'll say it again, as much as I love traveling and seeing other places, it's always good to be home. There's no place like home, so glad to be back. Ken?
I don't think I have anything tonight. Thank you.
That's it?
I'll spare you.
All right, thank you. Betsy?
I wanted to echo a little bit about what Mindy said. I don't vote on my personal feelings. It doesn't really matter how I feel. I have no agenda. My family and friends know they're not going to benefit. I'm not political. So it's tough sometimes how I feel about something versus voting on what I think is best for the citizens are not always the same thing. And this was one of those. And I even told the developers, I'm like, I'm not for this development. I'm actually not for any development. I want Siloam to go back to a town of 7,000. But that's not the reality. So I have to do what I think is best to protect the citizens. It's just sometimes it's a weird position to be in. and it's not the first time. First Fridays, that's wonderful. They're kicking off again, and hopefully we'll have really good weather. And thank you for sharing about the schools and the attendance. I have a lot of friends and family who work in the schools, and attendance is a terrible, terrible issue. So I love hearing that they're being proactive, and that's absolutely wonderful. So thank you.
Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Kim, welcome.
Thank you.
I have noticed that you are a lefty, but please stay anyway. Friday, we have the picnic for the employees. Looking forward to being able to be a part of that and to help serve. We have a wonderful group of employees. I'm very proud of this community and those who work within it. Director Burns, we were at odds tonight, but there's one thing that I do applaud your efforts toward is that we need to finish some of our plans, not just make them. And you've brought up things that were from 2009, dealing with Sager Creek and whatnot, and I think we need to be aware of where we've come from and finish some of those things that have been left undone. Obviously tonight, we saw something that was voted down that looked to be part of the comprehensive plan of 2040. I think we need to have a relook at that. And if it's not for residential or wherever it's for, we need to make some adjustments to that for today's world, 2026. And I would look forward to that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Reed. Brad?
Well, this is for future Administrator Rigby. We have a lot of work to be done, and revisions on plans should be one of the top priorities. And it's a pleasure and it's a challenge to serve, but it's what we're elected to do, and we're going to move the city forward. And there's going to be growing pains, but I don't think Director Carroll and I were too bad of odds. You can ask some old firemen what being at odds with me are like. It's different, and this is different. And so we worked it out. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing I have is that when we addressed the appeal tonight, we did not abide by the instructions given to us by legal and staff. And first of all, the two board members who appealed were supposed to give their reason. Betsy said that there were not any reasons given by the commissioners, which is required. That's true. They did not. And that is a requirement. Brad's reason was a land swap or eminent domain. Those are not reasons. Those are not reasons to ask for an appeal. Finally, the requirement from staff, from the attorney and staff together, was that if we uphold the denial, if we vote to uphold the denial, the board member must state which of the 9 reasons that are in this document of denial that they are using to uphold the denial. And these are on page 4. These are the same reasons that the commissioners were supposed to use and did not. And they are the same reasons that our board members that voted to uphold the denial were supposed to state and did not. I don't abide by threats either. But when facts are facts and you can look at history and basically come to an understanding of what has happened in the past, every single time, it's usually if history states it, it's going to occur again. And therefore, I think we've set ourselves up for an expensive lawsuit that the citizens of Siloam will be responsible for. We made a decision tonight based upon many, many emails and calls of people who are not citizens of Siloam. I understand that we represent the city, and I also say community. But we have to uphold the law, and we cannot be using emotion or friendship or any of the other things that can get in the way of legally following the law, whether it be state, federal, local. Eminent domain was brought up. And I think if a group like this is demanding the city take action for them, as was done, the Save Siloam Airport Group, it can be very much compared to eminent domain, which I don't like. It is a part of federal, state, and local government that can happen. I don't agree with it. I've never supported it, and I would never vote for it. But it is an option that every government can do. And if you have a group that uses the city to get what they want, even though it is not in line with the law, then you can compare it to the city deciding to take property because we want it, because we want to build something there. We could easily say, well, sorry, we have this power. I'm just saying it's very close, and you have to question, where does the line draw? It's a slippery, slippery slope. I think a huge mistake was made simply because of law. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, before we adjourn, can I clarify Director Allen's comment?
Yes, sir.
I did recommend to uphold denial on Section 9 as shown incompatible with content of its location and significant safety issues. And I did mention the others, yes, that is correct.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear any of that. I heard eminent domain and the other thing, land swap, as your reason, so, okay.
So do I have a second to adjourn? We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.